Online longevity is a difficult thing to maintain. It's hard to say it, but your favorite YouTubers are not going to be around in 10, 15, 20 years. If their video schedule isn't cut short by something serious, they'll fade out, either from public activity or your memory. People change and move on, it's a natural thing in life. And anyone who's been a one-hit wonder will know that feeling more than most. 10 years ago, Edwin Costa was once one of those one-hit wonders. After a few of his comedic skits did well, he found a place inside the YouTube vlogosphere. But that place faded when his best and most valuable friend cast him out. It was only through a rugged defense that he managed to keep his new livelihood. In the following years, he would carve his own path into a beacon of serious allegations and mature discussion. Yet, when Edwin fell out with that new audience, he escaped to his new friends in the commentary community. But when you ask about Edwin today, his main channel hasn't seen an upload in 3 years. Speak to his former friends, and they'll explain how they hate him or they awkwardly shuffled away. Look to his second channel, and there's a bunch of niche live streams, and a vague notion of some sort of allegation against him. All this leaves you asking, what the hell happened to Edwin's generations? Edwin Costa has spent most of his life living in Arizona, as you can tell from his first available video, counter-protesting a homophobic protest in his local area.
Hey guys, it's Edwin, and I just wanted to let you guys know that I went to a picketing last weekend at my old high school, Desert Mountain, and it's actually a protest against gays, you know, planned by a little website called God Hates. I guess the website is very little. Then again, what else can you expect? It's 2009, people. Get with the times. Stop with the haterade. Oh.
Born in Mexico in 1989, Edwin's family moved across to America when he was quite young. He would have been in high school when he first started his YouTube channel all the way back in 2006. Growing up, the early internet had an impact on Edwin's youth. You can tell from his videos, his humor, even his hair, that he was into that 2000s scene culture. During his childhood, Edwin's favorite show was Dragon Ball Z, and that interest would give him his first idea of online fame. In August 2009, Edwin posted Goku vs Goku in real life, a video with shoddy effects and Edwin quote-unquote fighting another Goku cosplayer. The video was never made to go viral as all videos were back in 2009, but it would end up getting over 1 million views.
So, who do you claim yourself to be?
Goku.
Goku. He claims to be Goku. Can you believe that? Can you believe? Oh.
Look for penis. Look for penis.
Oh, I don't see anything out. I have 37 subscribers. Let's get it on. Hold on, turns up.
Whilst we're on the topic of influence and inspiration, Edwin took notes from the likes of Shane Dawson for his content. And if you know anything about Shane Dawson's old content, you'll know that it hasn't aged like the finest of wines. Whilst Edwin's main channel uploads for 2009 are either sparse or deleted, that wasn't his focus. Instead, it was on CINCODEVLOGO, a collaborative comedy channel of edgy jokes and gross-out humor. Time has forgotten most of this roster, but the most notable and surprising person on here is Andy Warski, of all people. It is fascinating to see a T channel next to someone who would become a regular in right-wing internet blood sports and the current host of the Kino Casino. Although honestly, I could also see Edwin lighting his nipples on fire considering what he was posting around this time.
Excited for another
Tuesday with Edwin's Generation.
What the fudge? How did you get in my computer? Freaking hackers!
So what's this week's topic? Halloween?
No, it's not Halloween. I don't know why, but it's actually impersonations, and I'm doing Shane Dawson. I mean Leo.
But Leo's black.
Don't you think I thought about that? I'm black.
You're blue.
I said I'm black.
Oh yeah. Did he just come?
You came early.
Ew. So yeah, I was kind of busy last week trying to find a place to bury that Edwin-looking. She should be happy I lasted 4 minutes.
In shocking and very surprising news, the CINCODEVLOGO channel never really took off. It had this period of consistency in late 2009 to the first half of 2010. Over the months, everyone involved got very busy with other projects or real-life work. Edwin was kind of the last man standing.
CINCODEVLOGO was really like my baby, you know. Every Monday I have to take care of it, you know. We all switch it back and forth. There's a certain vibe that goes in when I make the YouTube videos on this channel that I really just enjoy, and it sucks that I have to let it go, because even though I make channels every week on Famous Edwin, it's not the same like kind of concept.
But the ending of one era often builds the foundations for the next. Whilst running CINCODEVLOGO, Edwin met another young creator known as Vincent Sear, who had done well making comedy skits and parodies with his friend ONISION. Sear's quality was impressive, but after all, he'd gone into college for acting and filmmaking. Edwin, meanwhile, wasn't predicting to make this a career. This wasn't meant to be anything more than your archetypal, quirky internet blogger.
What would I want to be when I grow up? Well, if I don't get to be a famous video actor, famous director, YouTube... No, not YouTube. Well, I don't know. Who knows? Then I want to be a singer, but that probably won't work out either. Let's see, what else? Oh, I want to be a psychologist. That's what I'm actually going to school for, because it's the most realistic goal, I feel like, even though it takes a lot of school and a lot of money. So,
In reality, that psychology degree wasn't coming any quicker, and as long as that was going on, Edwin was stuck in his dead-end job at the Cold Stone ice cream parlors. Customers threatened to strangle him, he even got robbed whilst working there. The internet would become a venting place for Edwin. His second channel, Famous Edwin, was an outlet for vlogs, deeper thoughts, and responses to viral videos, and though people only knew him for the Goku video, that would soon change. Edwin's friendship with other creators, especially Sear, became a lot stronger than his daily views. Sear had gotten into a public fallout with ONISION by this point, so it's safe to say his roommate role was now free. Edwin and Sear would be seen together multiple times on social media and in vlogs over the next few months. They also streamed a lot on platforms like YouNow and Blog TV. Yes, I am talking about that Blog TV. In March of 2014, Edwin and Sear moved in together to a house in Los Angeles.
So this is Kate. Hi. This is Sear.
Nice to meet you.
So anyways, I got a bunch of questions for us to answer.
Yeah, you've never done that before.
Dog, we're happy, okay? All right. We're happy roommates, we're the best.
The two worked so well because they synergized with each other in personality and ideas. But whilst Sear's channel was stable because of how big it was in comparison, Edwin was kind of a small fry. The skits they did together didn't do as well as they'd hoped, and Edwin eventually moved back to Arizona in mid-2015, so that he could gather himself again and feel more comfortable. Still, the friends he made in LA meant a lot to him. He would stay over at Sear's place throughout 2015 and 2016 to do occasional collabs together, and eventually, Edwin managed to break the mold, with the artistic masterpiece known as Man Gives Birth.
It's coming.
Honey, I'm home.
My water broke, Dustin! Let's get this over with. I'm ready for her.
It's hard to believe something like this has 25 million views nowadays, but I guess that's what worked in 2015. Man Gives Birth was somehow a godsend for Edwin, and its success would inspire him to push on forwards with more confidence, yet he never came close to replicating its success, and his other content never even breached the 100k views mark. Still, Edwin spent the rest of 2016 doing skits in LA with Sear, and moved back out there to an apartment in September. Around the time of his move to LA, Edwin would get none other than Jack's Films to appear in one of his videos. He would also film the music videos for Jack's songs Alexander Hamilton and Alexander Hamilton 2. This connection was certainly thanks to Sear, who would film a lot of stuff for Jack before. Edwin would also begin Sexual Saturdays, a series where he explained and discussed sexual topics to his audience. Edwin's vlogs made it seem like everything was going great on the surface. There was some stress that came with living in LA, but he was making a career out of something he had never expected. Sear even had two partners and models move into the house around this time. One of them was a girl called Dasha, and much later another girl named Mina. The opportunity Edwin had been blessed with would turn on its head only a few months later. On January 21st, 2017, Edwin started vlogging for his second channel. It was 2 AM, and the background was not the apartment he'd been familiar with.
So it is Saturday, January 21st, 2 AM. We're at our little Thai restaurant. But basically, later on today, I guess, we're leaving. We're leaving the apartment. We gotta pack our and go. Jesus.
At the time, this video came as a huge shock. The vlog doesn't say much other than they were kicked out and they were stressed. It's 30 minutes of vague posting amongst normal stuff, but even kicking Edwin out at all was a huge deal considering how close he'd been with Sear.
My former roommates, mainly one, keeps harassing me online, and conveniently she wants me to keep it all private. As of now, I don't want to reveal too many details, except that they kicked me out of the apartment, and that's where I'm gonna leave that for now.
This whole timeline didn't make sense to anyone, and Edwin exchanging vague tweets with Sear's girlfriend Dasha didn't help much either. But later on, Dasha would fire off an hour-long yelling stream on Periscope, Her and Sia explained that Sia's brother had been the one to kick out Edwin. He had co-signed the apartment and Sia had not told him he had let Edwin in. Sia even says he paid Edwin's first 2 months of rent. When the time came, Edwin and Mina left behind a note, took their stuff, swiped the keys and Sia's vlogging camera. According to Sia, the two were now framing themselves as victims of him, and without any explanation from Edwin, most of the audience went off the only story they heard.
Just want to say that I've never received this much hate and negativity online, and I don't know, anything I say seems to be twisted. If it makes you happy seeing me upset and sad and depressed, then congratulations, you know, you've won. If this is what you really want. Like, what do you guys actually want from me? I barely said anything private. I don't know, and I'm just so destroyed.
A few days after his vlog, Edwin and Mina posted a video to Edwin's main channel. They were supposedly trying to move on, but still addressing the situation in detail. Edwin did start opening up about what happened from his end in further vlogs. He says this brother thing wasn't true or conveyed to him properly, and that the real roadblock was Sia's girlfriend Dasha. A few days later, Edwin and Mina tried to get back into the apartment whilst in LA, mostly to pick up the rest of their belongings. However, a friend of Sia's who was house-sitting told them to leave. According to Dasha, Sia had agreed to return Edwin's stuff when he was back from a visit in Washington. Their attempt to get in only sparked more vitriol from Dasha and Sia's fanbase. She and her stans would post tweet after tweet at Mina with coordinated comments and photoshopped pictures. Still, the situation remained so confusing. Why did Sia's other girlfriend Mina go with Edwin? Why was Dasha continuing to post tweet after tweet going at Mina and Edwin for basically anything? In the beginning of March, ONISION covered the whole situation and fought with Dasha. Edwin later appeared on ONISION's stream to give some insight into what happened between himself and Sia, and 4 days later, Edwin would release a 90-minute video detailing the entire story of his situation with Sia. He claims that after moving in, Sia's work ethic drifted away and his creative ideology waned. This may have been for a lot of reasons, but Edwin highlights the supposedly toxic fight between Sia and his girlfriend Dasha. Sometime after Thanksgiving, Sia offered to have Mina over to stay. Now, for some context, Mina is a model who Sia dated at the start of 2016. He then cheated on her with Dasha. Mina and Dasha would fight for a while, but eventually Dasha reached out to Mina, they made up and they became friends. Dasha even made Sia apologize for cheating and convinced Mina to come over. Either way, you can imagine Edwin's puzzlement upon hearing that Sia is inviting his own ex-girlfriend over. This is already a volatile environment. This is pouring kerosene onto the fire. When Mina did move in, Sia would spend all this time with Dasha and Mina, according to Edwin. They would get drunk every night, and then Dasha would allegedly ask Mina whether she liked Sia. Eventually, Mina said yes, starting this twisted polycule. Yet this would not stifle Dasha's jealousy, as according to Mina, she was apparently controlling and emotionally abusive. She even secretly deleted Mina's Instagram many times, and admitted as much to Edwin, according to the man himself. In the midst of all this chaos, Edwin and Mina began spending more time together. They'd filmed together for skits, but this was beyond that. The next day, everyone in the apartment has a fight over this cobbled together polycule and Edwin's actions. Mina tries to sleep in Edwin's room instead, and during this time, Edwin tells Mina that Dasha was the one to delete her Instagram. Dasha overhears this and finds out, then apparently threatens to destroy Edwin's life. The next day, Sia tells Edwin he's been kicked out, because his name is not on the apartment lease, and Sia's brother wants to clear the house. All the while, Dasha's sitting in the corner eating crisps with this devilish smirk on her face. According to Edwin and Mina, Sia and Dasha privately offered a room to either of them separately, trying to throw the other under the bus. But by now, Edwin and Mina were close enough that they told each other and decided to leave together on the 21st. Edwin's video pushed a lot of the crowd in his and Mina's favour. It wasn't unanimous, but it was a hell of a lot better than what had been happening recently. A lot of people also leapt onto Mina's idea that Dasha was copying her every style or skinwalking her. People didn't even need DMs for this, they pieced the changes together from public posts. Dasha did eventually give a full response, stating Edwin exaggerated the text and was hinging a good guy narrative. Edwin didn't take this too seriously though. He had dropped what he wanted to vindicate himself and was now just out here living his life. But things would only stay quiet for around a month or so. On the 10th of May 2017, Sia booted up a livestream on Twitch. and inside it, he focuses on denying a lot of Edwin's claims, dispelling supposed exaggerations like the fights with Dasha. He also said Edwin was jealous towards him and Dasha's relationship, and the tension in the apartment came from Edwin making moves on Mina. Sia just dismisses Edwin, saying he's doing this out of a thirst for clout, money, and exposure. But it's hard to say this whole kick-out thing was for clout, when the cons would outweigh the pros here. Edwin had invested his time and life into LA, and by going against Sia was losing many of the connections he could have had. Sia doesn't mention Dasha's role in perpetuating this entire situation as well. Even she hops on to say that Edwin was lying and Mina backstabbed her. In response, Edwin made another hour-long video in which he responds to a lot of stuff. The video features more pictures supporting the Skinwalker claims, showing proof that Dasha was running alt accounts on gossip forums talking about Mina, and showing yet more toxic DMs between Dasha and Sia. Edwin also breaks down the financial situation, and actually admits fault for trying to get into the apartment whilst trying to get his stuff back. A mutual friend even states that Dasha was pretending to be Mina's friend so that she could destroy her.
And I told Edwin, yes, I'm going to actually get you kicked out. I said that to him. I'm owning up to that. I told him that I'd ruin his life because I would if he takes a British, I'm sorry, over his best friend. He's absolutely right. I stood there smiling.
Following this video, Edwin and Sia's drama entered a bit of a cold war. In their response, Sia and Dasha complained about how they were being hated, referring to the gossip forum lolcar.farms and their thread on this whole situation. Edwin then popped up on his own lolcar farms thread to talk about his own drama, despite saying he wasn't trying to carry it on. Edwin would shift his channel's focus to be about him and Mina, rather than him and Sia. There were a sizable number of people who were there for their relationship, but playing too hard into it lost him good graces. When US Customs detained Mina on her way back, Edwin made a puppy face fundraiser asking for donations so that he could go see her again. When his fans told him to pay for this by getting a job, Edwin told them other people wanted to see this reunion and you should quit being salty. All this did was support the doing this for money allegations, which was great for Dasha. Edwin made his relationship with Mina the main focus of his online presence. Everything from posting memes of each other, vlogs together, running a pseudo-child teddy bear account on Instagram. At some point, the whole "I'm an uwu broken scene boy" bit was kinda tiring to believe from like a 29-year-old man. Is this what Edwin had to offer when he wasn't with Sia? However, Dasha ended up upstaging this cringe when in 2018, local farm admins revealed she'd posted 142 times on the Edwin Sia drama thread. This included posting Mina's passport and lots of personal defenses and petty insults. The presence of these lolcow posts are insane in themselves and showed how unhinged Dasha was. However, by now, Edwin's responses were less absolute and convincing. A fair portion of his video about Dasha's posts goes at her for old offensive jokes, throwing stones, glass houses, you get the point. However, Dasha was still trying to get her hit back. In June 2018, Edwin obtained audio of Dasha talking to a former fan, conspiring to take Edwin's channel down with Sia's connections.
So our thing is we're not going to make a video back at Edwin. When his video comes out, all of our friends on Discord and everyone I can trust will flag it for harassment. Vincent is going to send out a little thing to everyone what it should sound like and what words it needs to contain for YouTube to see it. And if he gets that 3 times, then his channel is going to be deleted. So once the video is taken down, is uploaded by him, would you be down to like flag it on YouTube? I mean, it's anonymous on YouTube and write a little thing about how it's harassment. It doesn't even have to be long.
This absolutely made her and Sia look terrible, and again the situation would be brought up, showing just how far she would go. Going forward, Edwin would discuss Dasha and Sia twice in the following few years. One of them was about their private messages influencing a former fan to harass Edwin and Mina. Another one was a response to another attack from Dasha, and platformed a fan who accused Sia and Dasha of grooming. The case was that Dasha and Sia got in contact with a 16-year-old fan to vent about Edwin and Mina. The worst that Sia did was throwing on some weird emotional dumping, but the worst that Dasha did was apparently send NSFW art and sexual messages of herself to Sia, showing this to the 16-year-old. After the drama with Edwin, Sia would move over to Twitch.tv and built a new presence as a popular live streamer. In 2021, he joined the Twitch organization OTK and has remained distant from his past. However, Edwin, as the smaller party in the situation, managed to keep his story heard and kept his career from the several attacks from Dasher. In the wake of this whole situation was a new resolve from Edwin, a new interest in drama and commentary videos. Edwin will later state that the way he was done dirty by Sia inspired him to look at other cases. Or you could say it was because these videos did really well. Either way, by September 2018, Edwin had now reached over 100,000 subscribers. Edwin hit a wave of T-drama, as people would call it, at a good time. Videos about the likes of Grimes, Poppy, and Melanie Martinez would start to get hundreds of thousands of views. His extensive coverage of the evidence against the group DeAntwoord would perform the best.
In 2009, I was not working toward being a public figure. I was literally studying psychology at AUCO. I've always wanted to be someone that my younger self could look up to, and I feel like now I'm reaching the point that I can possibly inspire others to think critically, to avoid situations that I'm calling out in my videos.
Edwin was no longer an afterthought or in the shadow of Sia. He found his speciality in how he effectively covered these situations. The Sia drama was essentially the blueprint. His psychology degree and mature outlook on these serious situations gave him a new layer of credibility on these cases, and so he became someone to turn to when a person he had known long ago entered his radar once again. In early 2019, ONISION became public enemy number 1. A plethora of girls came out exposing him and his partner Kai for their serious actions against them, and the story spread like wildfire, especially thanks to ONISION's likely staged mental breakdowns. This was a time when ONISION exposed videos were the kingmaker for your channel. Every drama and tea channel under the sun was ready to cover a story, but others took an interest in sifting through the legal cases, the stories of the accusers. Even Chris Hansen, the poster boy for predator catching, was on the scene. It's hard to convey how insane this was because you see Chris Hansen every year now talking about some online pedo thing, but back then, seeing the host of To Catch a Predator conduct interviews about a perennially hated internet loser like ONISION was surreal. As for Edwin, he saw the downfall of a man who he once spoke to in his worst days. Not exactly someone friendly because ONISION always sucked, even back then, but the two had hung around the same sort of spaces and audiences. They even shared roommates. Edwin had been hoping to make a video on ONISION back in January 2019, but due to the girls not being on board for an interview, he decided to shelve it. It was only when ONISION grabbed onto these rumors and provoked him that Edwin pressed further. In November 2019, he finally managed to get his checks, posting a video explaining the allegations against ONISION made by Sarah, one of the main accusers. Edwin's video, and indeed his style, tells the story in a serious yet kind of endearing and understandable way. He knew when to put in these cute little remarks and when to reel them in. It's actually quite good how he manages to summarize years of confusing speculation into a cohesive timeline. What helped is that Edwin also talked to the girls, took his time to get their side, and posted those interviews with their permission. Edwin connected well here, and his credibility became a lens for ONISION's growing fanbase of hatred. His video on ONISION stands at nearly 2 million views today, and he would become one of the main creators covering ONISION's every move. In the following months, Edwin would post more videos deconstructing ONISION's attempts to paint a different narrative. He would get in touch with all the girls accusing ONISION, public enemy number 1 for good reason. And the fervent hatred against ONISION meant that for some of his die-hard haters, any contrarian question was a red flag. In February 2020, Sarah announced her laptop was now with the FBI as part of their ONISION investigation, but she then threw out a Venmo for anyone to help her with buying a new one for school, as well as any extra money for college tuition and therapy costs. This post came under some light criticism from the commentary YouTuber Nicholas Diorio, who poked a few holes in the financial timeline that Sarah had presented. Sarah stated previously that her laptop was in the hands of Chris Hansen and his at the time top guy Vincent Nicotra for ages. Now all of a sudden she needed a new laptop for college in the middle of January? Sarah would DM Nick explaining she had been using her friend's laptop up until now and the friend had taken it back, and she didn't expect to get so many donations this quick. She later issued an apology to anyone she felt she had accidentally deceived, except in came Shiloh. For those unaware, Shiloh, or ONISION's patient Patient Zero, is widely considered to be one of the first people Onision harmed. As a result, she held a lot of sway in the minds of these self-labeled anti-Os. But here she came in like a bull in a china shop, posting a tweet encouraging her followers to report Nicholas Diorio for, quote, releasing private DMs and encouraging doxing of a 19-year-old girl. Hashtag deplatform predators. Her claim of encouraging doxing was a manipulated screenshot of him replying to someone asking where Sarah lived in Michigan. In reality, he'd actually replied to a clip this user found of Sarah. There's also the idea of calling Nick a predator with that hashtag, which is just a lie. In reality, Shiloh was the person running smear campaigns, doxing people, leaking private DMs, and even threatening others. Shiloh's slanderous campaign kicked up a lot of people in the commentary community into defending Nick. It even compelled some of the biggest anti-Onision YouTubers, like Repsion and Edwin, into telling Shiloh to scale it back. In response, Shiloh lashed out or cut them off. Edwin would then make a video on his new Homeboy Edwin channel defending Nick from the situation. Shiloh then shifted her targets and lashed out at Edwin, defaulting any criticism into, well, you're just supporting Onision. Despite Edwin's attempts to de-escalate the situation, Shiloh just kept on going and going until most people were just asking her to stop. But whilst this event had alienated some of the anti-Os from Edwin, he gained a lot of respect from the commentary community. Nick was a relative nobody at this time. It would have been easy to let the situation go by without a word, but Edwin's decision to stand on his morals and actually stick his neck out to defend someone was admirable. It was especially important considering the person accusing Nick had a sizable sway over the Onision situation. Soon this respect would turn into more bonded connections as Edwin began covering similar topics on his second channel. Around this time, Keemstar would interview Onision on Drama Alert. Keem's interview was controversial, a lot of people thought he was too soft, and in response, Keemstar called into Edwin's stream to debate him. A few days later, Keem would debate Repsion on Edwin's stream, alongside the creators Creepshow Art and Tamimi. Thousands of viewers were watching these debates live, and they only brought more and more attention to Edwin. Whilst everyone hated Onision, they also had questions about what would happen next. With Chris Hansen's involvement, history, and connections, lots of people felt it was likely Onision may actually go to jail. Unfortunately, Hansen's operations and those conducting the investigations were all out of whack. Forget perverted justice, these people had more chances of conducting an orchestra. Hansen himself wasn't the best either, interviewing anyone on planet Earth apart from Onision himself. Meanwhile, commentary channels seemed to get that impossible task down with relative ease. Hansen's leaked attempt to really monetize his interview with Onision kind of showed his priorities here. And as he started switching lanes to other cases, the criticism against him only continued to ramp up. Chris's dismissive or dishonest responses only united creators against him. The reason they did is because Hansen was portraying it as him against the YouTubers, whether you were the most supportive T channel or the edgiest commentary channel. Instead of transparency about the issues with his conduct, Hansen took a page out of Shiloh's book. It was us versus them. And Edwin, due to his association and criticisms, was now them. He was now among this community of critics, the roster of people who Hansen would later label the Goon Squad.
Some of them acting as if they were in a goon squad.
The creators he labeled would then semi-ironically adopt that very name. It has aged terribly though. Edwin formed a sort of camaraderie with the commentary community and Goon Squad. However, considering the huge subscriber gap and difference in audience, he still kept his identity and friendship with others intact. There were still successful videos and interviews on his main channel about Trisha Paytas, Davy Vanity, and Marilyn Manson. Credit where credit's due, Edwin managed to keep himself out of the pit of viewers only watching Onision videos and nothing else, and his experience made him a valuable speaker in a time where serious allegations were becoming part and parcel of the online sphere. In general, despite the pandemic, 2020 was one of Edwin's best years. So how would the next one start? On New Year's Day 2021, Edwin had his Twitter account hacked. The only thing worth noting here is Edwin's DMs with Stephen Asarch, a journalist who'd been covering the Onision story. In these DMs, there appears to be a sort of discussion between Edwin and Stephen about a documentary? Although Chris Hansen had gotten plenty of flack for the way he handled the Onision case, at the end of the day, his connections in the television industry paved the way for an ONISION documentary on TV. The announcement quickly drew claims of cash grabbing. Most victims declined to take part, as did most YouTubers who they reached out to, and they were right to. The rewritten story glorified Chris as the changing point, when people already hated ONISION beforehand and put in the legwork for him. A lot of the victim stories were also meshed and complicated.
I strongly stand against this TV show if the survivors don't want it, you know? If Sarah's against this, why the f would we be like, let's give in, oh you know what, let's let it be on TV? That doesn't make any sense!
But there was a surprise. Out of all the YouTubers they asked for an interview, only one accepted. Edwin. This was a confusing appearance because, as said before, many people believed this whole thing was a sham. Repzilla even hopped in a livestream with Repzion and Edwin, who both agreed that this was solely for money. On a second channel livestream, Edwin retraced his steps leading up to his appearance. He said a consultant contacted him, stated Hansen wouldn't have creative control, and the girls that didn't want to be on the documentary would have their wishes respected. Edwin hesitated at first, but ultimately decided to accept. He felt the documentary needed a YouTuber, and his perceived fears were only from public perception. He was not paid for his appearances.
Anyways, I vetted them thoroughly, and they are not using victims' stories without consent. Lastly, they will include my rant on Chris Hansen.
Yet when episode 2 rolled around, the other girls' stories were discussed, sometimes in detail. It made people angry at the documentary, and they wondered about what exactly Edwin's vetting process was here. His statement that the girls would have their wishes respected was meant to comfort them. These were people he had talked to on a personal level about their very personal and dark stories. So did he get a contract, or was this him just trusting word of mouth? The release of this episode prompted the YouTuber Jacqueline Glynn to make a video, in which she gave Edwin criticism about his involvement.
It could be argued that my appearance could add exposure to the documentary. I mean, I would hate to make that argument because it sounds arrogant, but still, you know, maybe some people are like, oh, Edwin's in it, maybe it's not so bad.
This is the reason why you being in it is a problem. Because there are people that are fans of you, that trust you, that are now going to give more respect and be more willing to listen to the things in this documentary, many of which are untrue, and now obviously are not respecting the wishes of the people who are actually involved. I don't think any YouTuber should have been a part of this for that very reason. Nobody trusted them. We all had a feeling this was going to happen, and it did. I'm not trying to him too much because I do think he fully believed them that they weren't going to do this, but they did.
Edwin initially responded, saying,
Jacqueline Glenn, were you more upset at the girls' stories being used or my participation? I mean, damn! You spent half your 21-minute video dragging me through the mud when seeing how dumb I looked because I was lied to by the documentary.
Things didn't get any better for Edwin in ONISION documentary episode 3. They would show Edwin's criticisms of Chris Hansen, only for Hansen to respond in the show.
Everybody thought that it was just for financial gain, and he essentially does exploit victims, in my opinion.
Well, Edwin, perhaps you should take a look in the mirror, having tried to use victims in your own way.
In a follow-up video, Jacqueline would make a response to Edwin, clarifying her stance.
Although you were spoken about sporadically through the duration of about 10 minutes, the entire 10 minutes was not solely focused on you, and you know that. And I even said in my video that I believed you when you said that you thought you really did have the answers. I believed that they lied to you. I still believe that they lied to you. And I know you were wondering, am I more upset at the girls' stories being told or your participation? And I have the same question for you, Edwin. Are you more upset that I criticized you, or that the thing that you were promised up and down wouldn't happen very much happened, and that now you're associated with it?
And, he didn't take this all too well.
Like, the past month, like, thing after thing after thing has made me feel so devalued. Like, to get these words out is so difficult for me. And I don't know how. I hope I can soon get over it, because it's just affected me so bad. The one thing that I've worked so hard on my YouTube channel is for my integrity.
Yes. This was a stream to forget, an 8-hour sobbing session where all of Edwin's friends came in and comforted him. I'm not sure why at any point Edwin did not turn off the 8-hour stream. The entire situation here seems to portray Edwin as naive or opportunistic, depending on how you want to treat him. It was obvious that Chris Hansen, who had mishandled the ONISION situation, manipulated the narrative, was still working with very malicious people, was probably not worth going near. Even if Discovery presented themselves to Edwin as a neutral virtual party, everyone knew Chris Hansen was the reason this was a thing. Speculative critics would go back to the stream with Repzilla and uncover something new. Repzilla was doing this stream because he had also been approached about appearing on the ONISION documentary. He couldn't decide and so brought it to the public as a discussion on what to do. During that stream, a chatter by the name of JTOTOK sent some pretty strange messages in the chat. What did they say about the YouTuber drama and opinions? Hansen said he's getting paid for his talent. You calling him a liar, bro? Are you proud of getting paid nothing? Someone in the chat said, exposure is payment though. JTOTOK? Why does that name sound so suspiciously familiar?
What's all the J-Tot about? Hey everybody, okay, so, this is the video where it shows what everybody was J-Totting about. My main video showed the 2009 flashback. So, I really, one New Year's resolution is that I want to put videos every Friday on Famous Edwin. I want you guys to have something to look forward to. By the way, if you don't know what even J-Tot means, just throwing that out there, duh, J-Tot. These people will show you how to use the word.
Why did Edwin hop onto an alt account to try and stir the pot on Repzilla? Per his DMs with Stephen A. Sarge, he was already on board with being in the documentary by this point. You could make the case that this was a covert attempt to convince Repzilla not to do the documentary so that Edwin was the only YouTuber on the documentary.
I guess it comes back to the question, are you proud of not getting paid, dude? I mean, I heard you read that out loud, so.
I mean, if they're gonna come to my house and I ain't gonna do anything.
Good to know, bro. Good to know.
I don't know. Hypothetically, Edwin, if it was you, what would you do?
I gotta go, dude. This is too hard. I'd probably do a tweet about it. I'd probably do a live stream about it, and then I'd probably get Ashley on it.
Following Edwin's stream of tears, he decided to take a break for the foreseeable future, and in his absence, a lot of people dug deeper on his character. Some people pulled up his old skits and accused him of racism or transphobia. Others found old anti-Semitic jokes that Edwin made back in 2014. These screenshots didn't go too far, but far enough to further damage Edwin's reputation. Yet Edwin held true to his promise of silence, being gone for the first half of 2021, aside from a couple Patreon posts. Edwin would make a soft comeback with a video on his second channel, discussing the documentary, the hacker, and the people who covered him. In mid-June, Edwin would cover his friend Creepshow Art completely self-imploding, during which her secret post on lolcar.farm leaked. In one of these anonymous posts, Creepshow said that she swore Edwin was gay the first time she saw him.
Weeks or even months later, I end up on some stream and he mentions his girlfriend.
Girlfriend?
Girlfriend?
What? Hey, what's up?
So you click on an Edwin video and you're like, wow, look at this gay. You don't think, great content, this is 5 stars. That's first thing you think about?
Whilst Edwin's audience remained somewhat intact, his personal connections were again askew. The only people really in his corner were the edgy commentary community on the outskirts. People like Augie RFC, Boblax, and Nicholas Diorio defended Edwin whilst he remained offline, and in turn he grew closer to them. He would become a regular on their shows and vice versa.
Nick and Boblax. I mean, we got Edwin here taking the place of Nick, and we got Poochie here taking the place of Boblax. So
she's not fully developed.
Whoa. Bro, are you about to fall over? What are you doing?
Did I do this with the chair?
No.
Does this turn into a comedy sketch, bro?
What are you doing? Are you spurring out?
No, dude, the jazz is the chat.
You're so.
Don't say the
Wait, can I say that on your channel?
You can't say the R word.
Oh,
Don't
okay.
worry, he didn't mean it. Dude, we have to wait at least after 30 minutes so I can get this monetized, bro. Come on.
It's not getting monetized.
You know the rule.
However, by doing so, Edwin found himself in a difficult position. The commentary community, or what was left of it, was far more edgy than Edwin's audience, and this clashed in some ways. As far as people like Paige Christie saw it, Edwin's demeanor changed with his new friends. In his streams, he would generally be soft, to restrict them from saying any edgy jokes, but in their streams, and starting from late 2021, Edwin would start to play along. Alabama Edwin, as they called it, would come out.
Edwin, you literally sound you sound like a monkey right now.
Wow, man, good thing I'm not black.
What? Wait, hold on.
This is a horrible clip.
Oh yeah, I thought you said.
Sorry, I'm just gonna say no the second time. What?
Oh no! Dude, you told me you are on a podcast with 2 black people.
Dumpy is black.
He is. Why are you?
What do you mean? Have you ever seen his face? I literally have a Dumpy selfie right here.
No, I seen his dog face.
You dog face.
Whoa. What?
Where's the cowardly dog?
I'm fine to use like anything casual, but if someone like asks me to refer to them as like kitten/kitty, I'm like, no.
Would you bang a trans girl?
Yeah, I don't care.
That's not.
Why is that
even? 17-year-old.
Holy Edwin.
When I first met Edwin, he was like a libtard, and all of his fans were like criticizing him for saying the most minor.
When I first met you, you were trans, then you were a girl, then you were now you're a guy.
Wait, and now
Despite his ties, Edwin would move his core audience more towards his second channel, and their ideals still somewhat aligned with his, but there was more of an audience cross-connection. When his friends fought with the YouTuber Technicals over his video on the Super Smash Bros. Player 0, Edwin was there, and was pining after a debate with Technicals, an offer he mainly ignored, apart from some random stream 2 months later where Edwin just stays quiet for an hour. In around early to mid 2022, he got more involved in the Twitch political sphere. These were fun debates and all, but never led to videos. Edwin was now more attached to the relatively stress-free streams, something he never felt burnt out from in comparison. The closest he came was in September, when allegations of essay and emotional abuse dropped on the online pedo hunter Mama Max. The case against Max was the first time in a while Edwin invested himself in this kind of project. He made the most of it working with the girls on a video slated to release soon. According to many people behind the scenes, Edwin's Max video was fantastic, but unfortunately it would never come out. For some reason, it kind of faded away without any note. I'm sure we'll never return to this. Edwin's coverage of the Max situation wasn't received or positive either. Around the time of his streams, the YouTuber, The Franchise, would make a 40-minute video going at Edwin's jugular. The Franchise would poke fun at him and point out various inconsistencies in his coverage of Technicals, Mama Max, the ONISION documentary, and more. Edwin responded by inviting The Franchise on for a debate, but he decided to do this debate without watching the video first, which is, an interesting move. Edwin may have embedded himself within commentary, but he lost sight of what made him pop in the first place. And that same summer, a new character would emerge that shook up the balance of the community. Salvo Pancakes may have just been another troll in the online ether were it not for his over-the-top bits inspired by the Red Bar show. One of his first targets was Flamenco, a friend of Augie's and co-host of his show After Hours. Flamenco ran around more right-wing online circles and had just about slipped away from a controversy about an old NSFW anime comic named Boy Soprano. But his reputation was forever smeared. Salvo wasn't as generous, and commissioned a song telling Flamenco to leave the kids alone in a parody of Pink Floyd's Another Brick in the Wall. In response, Flamenco melted down over the song, blocked the paid performer, and kept on spiraling as new criticisms of his behaviour arose. In an all-too-familiar tale in the commentary space, it seems he couldn't take what he dished out, and his lack of self-control in responding would turn him into a lolcow of sorts. A few weeks later, drama YouTuber turned comedian Def Noodles assaulted Salvo at his comedy show. Salvo had the light shined on him, and he took that opportunity with both hands, creating a formidable and dedicated base of viewers. His bombastic, charismatic streams, his ambition to collect the community together for his shows, it gave him a lot of momentum. Eventually, he'd even start a live show with Keemstar, though rather than moving on to bigger and better things, Salvo instead started going after and trolling everyone else in the commentary space. Except Edwin. Because whilst everyone else had to take their licks and live with it, Edwin cozied up more to Salvo, in a move that came across as kind of cowardly to the rest of his friends. You could dismiss Salvo as a troll, but Edwin being a friend to these people, but then adopting and mirroring Salvo's provocative energy, put them in an awkward position. Because at points, Edwin and Salvo were so desperate for content, overinflate a situation here, support a narrative of censorship there, and suddenly every little thing is being instigated. But permanent damage to friendships? No, that would look like we're taking the internet too seriously, we don't want that. So after all these arguments, let's just reset saying, oh, at the end of the day, aren't we still friends? And for a few months, that was the state of commentary. Salvo, Edwin, and even Keemstar would lay out bait, and they'd either get no response or a meltdown. It seemed a lot like Edwin had softly left his previous friend group for the new kid in school, for no reason other than just entertainment.
Too bad Nick DeOrio thinks this is the season finale of the dog show. Even though Nicholas DeOrio goes on other shows to talk about the dog show. Like, bro, what is this, man? That is my message. If, anybody else hears it. What is with these commentary arbiters that gets to say what's good and what's bad?
They labeled me Alabama Edwin because I say things like that they can have freak out moments. Whoa!
Yeah. Like you hear resounding like first like it's a cascade, right? Like Augie, whoa, and then Nick, whoa, hey.
And then Bo Blacks is always last to kind of get the
It just tips you're being a pussy and thinking that he's base, but like you have such a strong opinion against me and that led you to blocking me. Oh, wait, what are you gonna do about Bo Blacks, Augie, and Nick? Oh yeah, nothing. You're gonna do nothing but kiss their feet, tipster. That's what you're gonna do.
Anyways, let's drag ourselves out of the bottomless pit we're focusing on here for a second. What else is happening with Edwin? Well, around this time, he would break up with Mina. There was no controversy here, it was a peaceful breakup, and they even hopped on stream together for a final message. But before that, they're united again, to once more talk about the man who had brought them together. Circa late November 2022, and the Twitch apocalypse is in full effect. Scammers and gambling addicts, then sexual harassers and friends like Mizkif who were apparently covering them up. It was a very hectic time, and just off in the corner was Seer. Given that Seer was part of OTK, the same streaming organization as Mizkif and his friends, it's inevitable someone would bring up the past. But what Edwin said was something very new to everyone else.
Guys, Seer is a big time groomer. I don't know if he is anymore. Like he with a lot of girls. Like he took a lot of advantage of us. Weird. He was 25 and he was like dating a 17-year-old. It was weird. He was literally going to his high school's house. You guys, if you guys follow Seer on Twitch, you're following a pedophile. I'm sorry. I mean, not a pedophile, just a hebephile, right? Let's be accurate here. Have him trying to sue me. You know he can. Because guess what? He sent me a paycheck. He had a literal Tumblr page. He would like compile like girls like Snapchat.
This was a big accusation. In comparison to everything else, all of Edwin's history with Seer, this was the most serious thing he'd ever said about him. A few days later, Edwin would hop onto Chud Logic's stream to accuse Seer of being a human trafficker.
I was tricked by him and his girlfriend to
trafficked, by the way.
Essentially, I was.
Turn the faucet off on these. What is going on?
Well,
that's a serious allegation, and you're saying it like
define
it's not
trafficking to make sure I get it right.
You gotta love that, Seer is a sick man, he's the bottom of the world filth, he is a human trafficker. By the way, what's a human trafficker? Edwin and Mina make a lot of brazen claims against Seer. Chud Logic tries to ask for any proof that could support these serious allegations.
And I'm saying that like certain people that he Snapchatted with, there was one that was 16 that I know of.
No, what specifically did they say to each other?
Sexual pictures of her in her bra and all this other stuff.
This is insane. You're saying that he was with someone that's 16. That is mental.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, but you're doing it and you got no evidence. You're just saying, like, I'm always a big on, like, you've got to have the evidence to back up your claims. And you're just saying it. I appreciate you saying you'll get me the fucking idea in that, but don't you think this is insane that you're saying this?
The only picture I've seen that concerned me was the one where he was with Hassan, and because that's like such a trap for like young fans to be like when they cross-dressing and they're wearing skirts, like that's like a little girl thirst bait. No, like adults don't think that.
If you genuinely have got some evidence possible of this stuff, some of it could be illegal. I don't know. I don't know what the nature of it is and what exactly was going on.
You know what? Here, sue me, bro. Challenge me, then I'll seek it.
Mina goes on to claim Seer and Dasha tricked her to come live with them by promising her jobs in LA, then forcing her to do sexual stuff and breaking things if she didn't. But the proof Edwin presented didn't hold up. Edwin claimed to Chud Logic that he had proof of all these claims on his second channel, but all he linked to Chud was his videos on Seer. The only mention of a 17-year-old is a comment he made saying the same thing with no proof. The Tumblr page that Edwin is likely referring to literally has nobody under 18 at the top. That's far from a good barrier, but at least Seer made that barrier clear. That doesn't help your serious allegations when the Tumblr you're alluding to covers itself for the scenario. It's still easy to say that Seer was weird because of this, I wouldn't even blame you for that, but Edwin, of all people, should know you need all your cards in order before you accuse someone of a crime. For how open he and Mina were about Seer and Dasha's conduct, accusing them of physical threats and, may I remind you, trafficking comes out of left field. Here's the reason Mina gave in 2017 for coming over to LA.
So we got each other's numbers and we started messaging consistently for a while. She kept asking me when I was going to come to LA. I told her that I'd only go to LA if I had a reason to go to LA. So I told her, maybe I'd come in a couple of months or something when something comes up. But then she started saying, if you aren't in school or in college or working or whatever, if you aren't doing any of that, why are you even in London? For a while, I didn't message her and I ignored a few of her texts. I kept it, when I did text her, I kept it very minimal. It seemed like she didn't want that and she wanted full on like talking all the time, and then she wanted to FaceTime. It got to a point where I said sure, because she seemed nice. Maybe she just said that one thing, so I agreed to FaceTime her, and when I did, I ended up finding out that we had a lot in common.
Why would Edwin even throw something like this out here years after he last talked to Seer? Well, Augie RFC would later claim that Edwin obsessed over Seer's Twitch numbers in private. During this time, Edwin lost a lot of money in crypto. Some people have said thousands, $10,000, tens of thousands of dollars. I've looked around and heard as high as 300,000 in some cases. Edwin just kind of refers to it as losing a lot of money. In early December, Edwin would meet up with Salvo and do a bunch of streams together, including one where they had a long, passionate, shirtless kiss to sell Boblax's plushies. This all led to a big meetup at Keemstar's house and a stream on the Keemstar show. There was Salvo, Keemstar, Keemstar's partner Brantley, the producer Chris the Narc, Edwin, and a new girl he had brought around named Babs. This is actually my favourite stream ever. Because it's a complete drunk car crash white trash party. Everyone here is drunk. Salvo fights with Brantley and makes her cry. Keemstar is just a cuck the entire episode. Salvo and Keem are fighting like babies on whoever gets to cover the Boblax plushie drama. Salvo and Edwin end up molesting Keemstar. If you hated anyone involved in the show, this was a supreme hate watch. Even after the stream, Nicholas Diorio edits a clip of Brantley joking that she said a slur. Then everyone in the house has to gather around like SEAL Team 6 and decide what to do. Going into December, it was hard to see where the commentary space was going. A lot of people here were just appealing to the same 50,000 people, who would diminish as time went on. Commentary was stuck in a creative Ouroboros of eating itself as the content of the day. It was hard to see if there would be an end. And then, as 2022 was ending, the entire community erupted.
I'm talking about somebody that's got their own show that just started up. The person that was playing a part in getting flamenco so much now finds himself with a bunch of his own. I'm talking about our boy, Salvo Pancakes. But apparently, Salvo's a horny boy.
On December 27th, 2022, Salvo Pancakes faced an onslaught of allegations posted to Twitter. Turns out that in spite of his marriage, Salvo had been going around messaging every woman he could. One of the DMs shows Salvo instructing a BPD girl to lick up from the toilet. You think that's bad? You've been spared the DMs where he apparently got a girl to make animal sculptures out of her own poo. Aside from the hilarious events of every woman Salvo talked to exposing him, there was also the matter of doxing. He had doxed or was speculated to assist in the doxing of various people, inviting them to pull it up on his stream and leaking real names of people who had protected themselves with pseudonyms. On the day after the initial rumblings, Keemstar went live on the Keemstar show without Salvo, interviewing many of the girls Salvo had talked to. Keemstar also brought up that after he had gone to sleep at the drunken Keemstar show night, Edwin, Salvo, and Edwin's new girl Babs wanted to stay up and get down. Chris the Narc was wasted, turned down a titty shot from Babs, and went to sleep. And according to Keemstar and another girl named PP Butt PP, yes, that is a vital source to this situation, Salvo had been telling us sneaky Discord links he hopped into bed with Edwin and Babs. What made this more interesting is that a week before Salvo's allegations, Babs and Edwin had already broken up. Whilst Edwin was going home, Babs joined Keemstar and Brantley as they were going down to South Carolina for Brantley's birthday. At the time, a lot of people joked that Edwin had been cucked by the Keemstar cream. The announcement of a break not long after didn't help things. On January 1st, whilst his family were celebrating the new year, Edwin booted up his comeback livestream in the other room. He then downed shots alone for donations for 7 hours. Despite trying to keep up the spirit, Edwin solemnly condemned Salvo for his actions.
Like, yes, people call me a Salvo writer all the right, all the time. You guys see that shit all the time, right? I can't fucking, like, there's no way. Like, bro, what the f? From meeting him and his wife, he would have texted me back if it wasn't cheating. It felt like he was cheating on his wife. And then eventually his wife, she don't deserve this. She don't deserve what happened to her. She was such a wonderful person. They seemed to have a decent relationship. I mean, it was very cute. People literally know me as the guy in commentary that has the most amount of female viewers. Bro, what the f are you picking up my viewers? That's weird. That's so uncomfortable. Like, that's not okay. That's disgusting. Like, what the f? Upset and embarrassed and ashamed. Like, bro, else.
However, some people weren't buying it. Boblax was the first to call this out. Their issue was that Salvo would go on Edwin's streams and make constant remarks about Boblax and their autism. Edwin, their friend, would kind of sit by and say nothing. I guess if your red line for disgusting embarrassment is cheating with fans, I'm sure ableism would be high for you in the pecking order as well, if not worse. This painted out Edwin as kind of flaky. His eagerness to only condemn Salvo now wasn't out of any moral integrity, but because the public opinion had turned. When Edwin first saw this, he reacted like so.
It's gay, like honestly, like I'm so sick of this. This is why I don't want to make any new friends, dude. This is so stupid, dude. Like Boblax better than this. I don't know, I'm so done, dude. It's like, dude, we've talked about this in private, man. It's like, this is so childish, dude. You, man.
A few minutes later, Boblax calls into the stream. They say that whilst they did have a conversation with Edwin about this clip, it didn't change anything because Salvo went to Keemstar's house, did the same thing again, and Edwin just kind of sat there. The more that Boblax continues, Edwin backs down, starts apologizing, and emphasizes how he still wants to be friends with Boblax.
It's my like flaw to want to see good in people. Like you are the closest thing that would ever be like the emotional in this community, because everybody's always so dismissive, you know. I get it. If you don't want to associate, I don't want anybody to associate with me. I don't care. Like, I'm just so ashamed of myself.
Well, I do forgive you.
Hello, what is this guy doing? How'd it go from "this is so gay" to sad puppy boy mode in like 5 minutes? You're 34! The other reason Boblax didn't like Edwin is because of Olivia Wang. Olivia was one of the accusers from the Mama Max story that Edwin was covering. Yet, ever wonder why that investigation disappeared from the timeline? Whilst on some live streams, Edwin introduced Olivia and Boblax to each other, being a sort of wingman for Boblax, trying to set them up on dates. How wholesome. Unfortunately, it turns out Edwin and Salvo were also talking to Olivia, trying to set Boblax up to fail and get cucked. Edwin also had sexual conversations with Olivia, something he lied about to Boblax privately and to everyone else publicly. Keep in mind, Olivia was Edwin's source for an essay allegation he was investigating at the time. When the two got saucy on FaceTime whilst Olivia was drunk and Edwin tried to fly her out, he shelved the investigation, which is good at least, but still, this is insanely irresponsible to have that conversation at all. Also, keep in mind, Olivia isn't the only person claiming to be Max's victim. There were an assortment of girls accusing Max. Imagine having to tell them, listen girls, the investigation's on hold, it turns out one of you is actually too hot, and I couldn't contain myself. Additionally, Edwin later confirmed that he leaked DMs between him and Onision's victims to his Discord mods. No one really went over this, and it's not as bad as Olivia. There's no flirting or trying to fly her out, but it is another pattern of mishandling these situations. In the early hours of January 4th, Salvo had returned, and one of the first things he did was post one of his former mods' docs. It was on this stream that Keemstar called in and dropped a nuke.
Abs, Edwin's girlfriend, would like me to ask you about the car ride back to Ohio. What happened there?
I don't know. I mean, she's more than welcome to share it on your program or something.
The story she told me in private is that, you know, it was like a Me Too situation where you were driving with your out, beating to her in the back when she didn't appreciate it, didn't want it.
Yeah, not true.
Well, I talked to Edwin already, and he confirmed that is true.
Okay, it just added to the list.
Babs then says in chat, Edwin was in on it, encouraging it. Later the same day, commentary streamer Tommy C of SFTP went live for an interview with Salvo.
Nothing was ever not consensual. To such a point where the consent was so excessive, in a normal situation, the girl would probably be turned off considering how much excessive consent we were making sure of.
All right.
Make of that what you will, although a lot of people felt this sounded more like coercion. Then, at around the 48-minute mark, Edwin pops out from wherever he was hiding. He didn't really need to. He could have made an organized response on his own, but instead Edwin calls in, and the very first thing he points out is Babs' motivation behind this allegation.
When it's come to Babs, this is like so outrageous that she just wants to clout farm. Nothing non-consensual happened ever. Like we were excessive. Every live stream that's happened, period, she's been in every chat talking about Edwin. She's clout sucking everything.
This is interesting, not because that couldn't be the motivation of Babs, but because of who's saying it. Edwin, the guy who got popular off platforming victims, is immediately writing off his own allegations by saying it's for clout. Not even a year ago, this kind of response would be on his bingo card when covering other creators. In fact, this is exactly the kind of narrative that Sia tried to accuse him of.
You kept on asking her, is this okay? Is this okay? Is this okay? Is this okay?
1,000%.
Why do it? I mean, that's the thing. Like, here's what I don't get from that.
I'm just saying in general. I'm not trying to go into any details here. That's for the clout to do.
If you constantly have to ask somebody's consent, isn't that like, how is that a turn on? That's got to be a huge turn off.
No, exactly. I'm sure.
That's what I was saying. We were so excessive, like we were being counterproductive.
Then why did you do it?
Yeah.
We then get a very important question. What did Salvo do in the car?
Was he in the car? With you there?
No, he wasn't. He was just.
He just whipped his out. You don't find that a little strange with a girl in the car?
Oh, I found it very strange. But that's why he was asking a lot to make sure everything was okay. I was like, whoa. I mean, let me ask you this, Tommy.
Yeah.
When you get hard?
No, of course not. I mean, of course.
Okay.
Like, what kind of question is that?
Well, okay, I'm just making sure because I didn't see the homie get hard.
To everyone, this explanation still came across as weird. By Edwin's story, Salvo was essentially in the front, driving the car with one hand and holding a small, cold in the other. Following this, another commentary streamer, Xylee Gets Real, calls in. Quick aside, Xylee was not like a big commentary channel, she was kind of in the mid-sections I'd say, but she got in a lot of controversy in 2022, and she had an axe to grind with Edwin.
You lied to your audience saying that you didn't know Salvo cheated on his wife, but yet you were part of that cheating.
I was referring to like his all his thing. Like I could have never known that he was doing all that. Because the expose was not that he cheated, by the way. That was not my hard line. My hard line was like, you know, talking to fans and get taken into that next level. That was my hard line.
Edwin claims that his issue with Salvo wasn't just cheating. The enhancing factor was the sheer volume of women and the fact they were his fans. Yet in the stream, the framework of Edwin's condemnation of Salvo is based around cheating and how loving his relationship was. Also, the idea of condemning dating fans also seems to be contradicted. Babs, the girl he flew out to meet, was a fan of Edwin's they met on his Instagram. After Xylee's call, Nicholas Diorio asks if he can call in. Edwin is noticeably shifty and anxious about this idea, and tries to deny it or get out.
I'm gonna pull him in, alright?
Alright, man. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, you gonna dip? You dip now? Nick, you're on.
No. I'll say hi to Nick. What's up, Nick?
Those are great famous last words.
Like, what is he
Sure.
saying? That's like,
No. So he went on saying, like, I didn't know Salvo cheated. He had a loving relationship with his wife. If Edwin's involved with the cheating...
Is that my direct quote? He had such a loving
You said
relationship.
you didn't know about the cheating multiple times, yeah. So if he was physical with you in any way, wouldn't that be the cheating? Why would you go on stream and say that's not the case?
We didn't do anything physical besides the kiss on the camera.
What do you mean? Wait, okay, so you're going around talking about this Bab stuff and you wanted to tackle that on stream and you're running two different stories?
What's
That's not what you
the
said to me
story?
30 minutes ago.
What did I say 30 minutes ago?
I wrote you and I said, is Keemstar lying about you hooking up with Salvo? And you said, no, at his house is true. Salvo didn't
No, I
deny
don't
that in
mean
the
that.
beginning.
Okay, no, we didn't hook up. Okay, there was a night with Babs, but that's not me and Salvo directly.
The full DMs read, is he lying about any of this?
I'm 4 mins behind in 1.25x, but so far no lies. The issue was, she insisted she didn't want anything public. I talked with her on the phone last week and was so annoyed that I began recording it 20 minutes in. Recording is still 20 mins, and she is in the recording insisting she wants nothing public or no mention. I respected that, but she's been a clout in everybody's chat ever since.
Is Keemstar lying about you guys hooking up with Salvo?
No, at his house it's true. Salvo didn't deny that in the beginning.
So what are you admitting to here?
Okay, the rumors of the threesome are true. Do you understand? That doesn't mean that the guys are.
Hey, so you
I
had a
suppose.
threesome with the girl, and then you knew Salvo cheated on his wife. You were part of his infidelity. So why go on stream and lie to everybody saying you had no idea?
Because the begged me to keep it private. I'll release the recording, dude. What
You don't
the
have to
fuck?
say who it was, but you
said
can say
his
you
marriage
knew
is
cheated on his
good.
wife, Edwin.
You said his marriage is good, and you were with the sexual act that he was involved in that his wife was not involved in. That's what Nick's saying.
Oh, I heard about some text messages. Yeah, you also watched him your girlfriend,
Fuck
you cock.
Nick. Fuck you, Nick. Woo! How about that? Stick that up your ass, man.
I never f***ed anyone.
Okay, wow. First off, I've never seen anyone crash out and then do an ad-lib right after.
You, Nick.
Whoa!
But in general, this is a very bad look for Edwin. Remember, he mentioned his shock at Salvo cheating many times, even directly denying involvement in it.
There is a point, though, that you did skip over from Brantley, though. She says that you helped him cheat, and you'd known for a good minute.
Kim knew about this in September, and, you know, like what?
That didn't really answer that, Edwin.
That didn't answer me. I didn't help him do anything. I didn't help him do anything, girl.
So why did he lie about it? Well, he says, the bitch begged me to keep it private. This is fine, as all people have a right to their privacy, but unfortunately, Edwin chose to make a comment on Salvo's marriage. He didn't have to go out there and say how bad it was that Salvo was cheating on his wife with all these women. He could have said no comment and dealt with it in private. Plus, there's a part of this that just doesn't add up. If Babs begged him to keep it private, then she's now turned around and spilled parts of the story in public. I'd say if someone is making allegations of Babs' size, allegations that Edwin was privy to coercion, allegations that Edwin maintains are false, the gloves are already off. For a guy with so much vitriol for Babs, he seems desperate to have kept her secret safe. On January 5th, 2023, The Keemstar Show went live for nearly 3 hours, during which Keemstar and Brantley interviewed Babs and asked her about everything. Babs stated she e-dated Edwin for a couple months, before planning to meet up and go to Keemstar's house. On the way there, she heard Edwin and Salvo gossiping and conspiring to expose their friends. Then, 5 nights at Keemstar's, or rather, 1 night at Keemstar's.
What Edwin and Salvo did between them, like if they want to come out with that, then they can.
Regardless of whether they were indeed gay, Edwin knew Salvo was cheating on his wife. He was present and participating in the cheating. Babs then claimed that Edwin was trying to pawn her off to other people.
But earlier in the night, he was like, she's hot. And didn't you, like, offer your girlfriend to him?
Well, it's not that I offer like she's some sort of object, more so like I wouldn't be mad, bro. Like when I joke and I say like, Nick, you can have this. Like I said it because then I know that he won't take it. Like I could literally offer her on a silver platter, like naked, and he won't take it.
When Edwin, Babs, and Salvo were driving back home the next day, Babs was tired, hungover, and hungry. Edwin even moved to the front seat so she could lie down in the back. But when in the front, Salvo and Edwin tried to talk about what happened last night. It went from jokes to flirting, to asking her about what they all did last night, to wanting to massage her feet, and then asking over and over again to pull over and continue yesterday. This was all in spite of Babs' constant excuses to not engage. One of their jokes was supposedly to look back at her eyes in the rearview mirror and constantly joke that she's smiling and that she wants to do it. This caused Babs to put her shirt over her head so they couldn't see her eyes. The apex of this was the foot massage, during which Salvo started driving one-handed. You know what I mean. Babs asserts many times that everything done was consensual and she does not feel like a victim. However, she points out and confirms Salvo's description of extremely excessive consent, and with her description of them wearing her down in a moving vehicle, as well as their own descriptions of excessive requests, it sounds more like harassment or coercion. However, those are not words she uses. She prefers to call them creepy, awkward, uncomfy, and pests. For all the comments Edwin made about Babs being a vicious clout demon, she seemed fairly reserved, to the point that Brantley and Keemstar were egging her on to make more outward claims. After dropping off Salvo, Babs and Edwin went back to Babs' house in Pennsylvania for the week. On their first night there, they started drinking and did a stream together from Edwin's phone, but after passing out from the alcohol, Babs woke up to Edwin on Xylie's stream, implying that Babs was creepy for offering Chris a titty shot as a joke. Babs flips out on Edwin considering the car ride they had the night before, leading to a lengthy argument where Babs told him to get out of her house. He didn't, instead locking himself in the upstairs bedroom. In another incident, Babs told Edwin he could go anywhere else except the cat room, where she had raised one of her cats. However, Edwin continued to go in that room again and again. The rest of the week was expectedly very quiet, with the two not talking to each other. Keemstar and Brantley said they suspected something was off when they FaceTimed Babs, and the same day Edwin went home, they picked up Babs on their way to South Carolina. The breaking point was Edwin's New Year stream, where Babs believed that again Edwin didn't really care about the girls Salvo was talking to, or the former friends he was now trying to suck up to. Whilst Babs was on stream, Augie and Boblax leaked this DM from Edwin.
She was lying her head in the seat behind her, and he 1000% was checked consent a bunch of times. It was weird as hell, don't get it twisted, but nobody was like, yo, what the you doing? No.
Well, that's the contention there. She said no, and you and Salvo say there was consent. Was there a clear yes, or was it just her not saying no?
Yeah, I would swear on anything that she never said no to that. There was a point where he literally proposed another session, which she did say no to and did not occur.
Also, I would swear on anything that she never said no does not mean she said yes. You know, I seem to remember a certain YouTuber actually making that point.
It's still an objectively horrible response to say she didn't say no to what we chose to do together. By saying she never said no, Melanie is putting words, well, actually taking words out of Timothy's mouth and neglecting any sort of accountability with this language.
Later on, Babs leaked a vlog Edwin recorded on her phone, created the morning after the one night at Keemstar's.
What we will talk about is the hand-me-down cope, how people follow the leader. And who's the leader? Nicholas Diorio. I mean, not our leader.
Not my leader.
He doesn't even want to be a leader. He says, why are you guys calling me? Which you would think he'd be flattered by people following his opinion. But for some reason he gets offended by it. Weird. Some would say he has an overreaction.
Nope.
As we saw on the New Year stream, Edwin had gone from Salvo's top guy to condemning and sad puppy head shakes. It was evident Edwin was sucking up to the friends he'd already antagonized.
Nick, it's not a bad thing that you are the commentary arbiter, bro. You know what the f is up. And look, I appreciate you, by the way. Nick, can I just say though, like on a real level, I feel like you and I connect on a real level. Even when you give me on Twitter, which I think you misunderstood me, I appreciate you, bro. I wish post Salvo Edwin was in my corner when Keem went after me. Oh, no, oh, Nick, bro. Oh my God, Nick. Look, and I don't want to build beef with Keem, but bro, you should see the text he sent me. Oh my God.
You might want to know what secret talk Edwin was referring to. What awful things was Keemstar saying about Nick? Keemstar, December 10th, 8:34 p.m. I just owned Nick again.
So, obviously, I sided with Edwin. Of course I did. This guy's a snake. This guy's a snake in the grass. He was trying to use me to make a friend after he's been nothing but a loser to us for like 2, 3, 4 months now, okay? I get a DM from Keemstar in my group chat. And what is he saying? Nicholas, I heard that you and Augie have a group chat talking shit. And I call Keem and I go, well, what are you talking about? Everybody talks shit, but it's not like we're plotting against you. Who the f told you that? You just got off the phone with Edwin. Apparently Edwin went and sang him a song.
In a matter of days, Edwin's reputation had been eviscerated. His view as an advocate for victims was destroyed in the face of allegations and confirmed incidents where he was sexually interacting with his sources. In the worst time he could have been exposed as a proven liar and fraud, he was. It's worth reminding you again that Babs does not have any evidence to support her claims, yet the reason people easily believed her is because of how Edwin reacted and how Edwin looked. He was a mirror of the people he had criticized. They could not trust a single thing from him. Who did Edwin have left? As the dust settled, leaks poured out from his Discord server, showing a lonely man constantly watching and rewatching the videos made about him without anyone else. Through mid-January and all of February, we were aware that Edwin was working on a response. In the preceding days, Edwin was seemingly hyping this response up on Twitter, but when Edwin did come back, it's safe to say he underdelivered. Streamed on February 26th, the Homeboy Edwin drama, and moving on, was pathetic. It's Edwin trying to get back to his soft boy ways after months of increasingly edgy content to appeal to a crowd. Aesthetics aside, he's complaining about the very environment he was a part of and cultivated.
This is the thing though, it's like, why does everything have to be like content, right? It's like, watch this so we can get more and more drama. It's all endless drama. It's like, no, I never been to drama where like it was people that I was friendly or friends with, right? So that was also kind of new.
The Seer guy is the same guy saying he's not used to drama with friends, and he's just being cancelled. The stream has this incredibly fake tone to it, with an attitude just so unlike Edwin at all. Edwin doesn't really talk about Babs in this one, but with Olivia, Edwin does at least say he's made amends. In fact, allegedly, Olivia was coming onto a show until she bailed, leaving Edwin high and dry. Supposedly, this is one of the DMs Edwin sent her.
Don't you think it would be a good way to go out? By helping clear my name from the damage you caused. Okay, yeah.
Edwin admits pursuing Olivia was inappropriate. He states this is the only source he's talked to like this, and confirms their romantic interactions ended Edwin's investigations.
Did we ever see one another? No. But like, of course, we did have that one FaceTime call that she, told people about. Even though like it wasn't initiated by me or anything like that, right? Like the details, like it doesn't matter. It's just like it's stuff that doesn't need to be publicized, and it's just like, so extra.
Yeah, you know, the details just don't matter. But, also she initiated it. Midway through the stream, Edwin tries and fails to return to business as usual. However, this doesn't work, and the chat eventually bullies him off.
If all you guys are here for, and all you guys are hungry for, is public drama talk of that was said about me, then okay, that's totally fine. But not my interest, alright? Cool.
A day after Edwin's stream, he popped up in the live chat of his friend Aiko Rules. Aiko is a small streamer in the community who was a friend of Edwin at the time. She was catching up on everything about Edwin, but Edwin wasn't even roped to calling in. He joined on his own volition after Aiko asked about the so-called cat room. However, when Aiko begins pressing him, Edwin tries to pull her offline.
How many times did this happen? When did she tell you
Well,
this?
once. It only happened once.
Well, then why was it like a thing? I feel like once would be a mistake, but are you saying that she overhyped it?
She just
she lied about it.
Okay, the thing is, and look, I'd love to talk about this offline. I don't want to provoke, but like she was very upset that night.
Do you know why she might have been upset about that?
I think she really was very angry and just very angry.
Why was she angry?
Oh, suddenly, well, you know, it's been real, but
I
would love to talk to you.
Yeah. No, Edwin. Nope.
It's bedtime.
Nope. No, you leave now. That's it.
Aiko, come on. We had so much good time. You just cut me off just like that, huh?
Edwin states the details about the night at Keemstar's house were unnecessary, which again, they would have been, but Edwin lied about not knowing anything of Salvo's cheating. Edwin then lies again here and says he never said that, when he did.
But what is the lie that I said, though? Like,
that you did not know that he was cheating on his wife?
I didn't say that I didn't know he was cheating.
Edwin, if you're gonna lie to me, just leave.
But I didn't say that. I'm just a little surprised that you're so hostile with this. Like,
because you're bullshitting me, Edwin.
Edwin later states the reason he called Babs a clout is because he was in a bad mental state.
You know, I was like in a fucked up mental state. Like that's like it was stupid of me, and that's why I apologized to her for.
The call ends with Edwin admitting he apologized to the girl who was accusing him of making her uncomfortable.
Okay, do you feel like you and Salvo pressured her at any point?
No, 100%
Never?
no.
Not that she didn't consent. She said she consented to everything, right?
There was nothing that I pressured for at all.
Okay, so
if anything,
she hid in her t-shirt for no reason.
She was hungover, and
you know what?
Later on she revealed that she was also uncomfortable, which, you know, like I feel bad for her, and, you know, I apologize to her.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anyways,
why? I'm sorry. I really didn't mean to. I didn't know this was gonna be the kind of the vibe. What?
Well, then I'm sorry. I guess you just don't know that, like, the things that we talked about with like abusive situations. Like, I actually do care about that.
Genuine about that? I invite you to have a call off stream. I would love for that. You know?
No, I don't think you're gonna be any more honest than you are
really
now.
Care.
Yeah, no, not. I think you're full of. I don't think you're being honest, but
and
maybe someday you will.
You're full of too, because you don't care, and you'll find out eventually.
Okay.
Though Edwin's reputation was skewered and Aiko's interview was the cherry on top, Edwin was still hesitant to directly engage with the allegations. But the day after Aiko's stream, Xylee went live, proudly announcing she had seen evidence from Babs and knew everything. The stream devolved into Xylee pressing Repzilla on his ties with Edwin, trying to walk him into admitting Edwin was guilty of abuse. This is all a huge gear change, because Babs was very adamant that no crimes had ever been committed in that car ride. Xylee's stream was a car crash, and it gave an out to Salvo and Edwin to cry false allegations. Edwin would later post to Twitter denouncing the stream and announcing his intent to now respond to Babs. Babs would later call into AugieRFC's After Hours and reiterate that she was not accusing Salvo and Edwin of any crimes. The rumored gotcha was that Babs had recordings that proved parts of her story. From March onwards, neither party really committed to their idea of the silent workhorse. Edwin and Salvo would debate Babs on their stream in early April. Edwin would later put up impromptu streams arguing about about Babs because he had called her, apparently accidentally, and she said Edwin was going after her. Meanwhile, people like Aiko were constantly covering Edwin, to the point that Edwin would remove entire streams whilst Aiko was live covering them. Edwin also tried to accuse Babs of being into age play, because she drunkenly joked about being 15 to get Edwin into trouble whilst he was live. When Aiko responded by pointing out Edwin's DDLG relationship and making a joke about school zones, Edwin just straight up called Aiko a pedophile. Most importantly, Babs gave Aiko a recording of her confronting Edwin.
After I'm falling asleep on the floor, you're gonna make it all or whatever. I was just trying to give Chris a petty shot. And yeah, we pushed him a little bit, of course. We were all having fun. But you guys were being way worse than me. You know who showed him to where he could sleep? Me. You know who checked on him? Me. And you got big with me in my own home. Get big with me. Get big with me. Like, no. No, hell no. Hell. No, I'm actually so mad. I'm actually so mad. Stand up to me. I actually had to get up off my floor and square up to you. Because you were getting that big with me. That's ridiculous to me. I'm a female and you're in my house. My landlord lives right next door. You're screeching. I'm not an internet person. I still need a real job. Like, don't make me seem out like I'm some sort of weird. Hell no. Okay, I don't give a f. You think that's what it seemed like. And you're trying to square up to me. No. You're not gonna do that in my own house. It's disrespectful. And I am so fast. Then no, it's absolutely just not okay.
I know. I agree.
On July 29th, 2023, Edwin finally released his 2-hour-plus response to the allegations made by Babs. Edwin states his relationship with Babs was not as serious as she presented, even if he flew out to see her. On the night at Keemstar's, Edwin makes a big deal out of saying he did nothing gay, and was fine with Salvo and her having a fun time in the same room as him. This is disputing Babs' following versions of whether he was a gay cuck or not. It turns out that according to him, he's just a cuck. Edwin also maintains the car ride stuff was consensual and misframed. According to him, Babs would play along, she was down to do stuff, the t-shirt stuff was her playing coy, but also at the same time they thought her hiding under the t-shirt was due to her being hungover. This is all testimony, but supported by a brutal clip where Babs says she enjoyed the foot massage.
To be clear, the stuff she's talking about is the foot stuff, the licking on the toes and everything like that. She enjoyed it. She had a good time. She liked that. She told me that, right? Yes.
Edwin states that inside Babs' house, he felt like he was walking on eggshells. The argument they had on the first night was far less than she had described it. Edwin proves this by showing clips of the very stream where the false accusations were happening, and basically them just having a good time on there. He doesn't show him joking about Chris deserving to make a twit longer on Babs, but that is still a joke, not him, quote, screeching that she was a racist. Edwin then goes over the recording of him, saying that she came in to confront him, and highlighting how she left out the cat room incident from this fight, taking away the sort of context. Edwin accuses Babs of being far more aggressive, and forcing him to go upstairs. It's worth noting Babs admits she's on probation because of a physical assault on a co-worker that led her to lose her job. By all means, this is a great piece of evidence from Edwin. Whilst Babs was preparing a full response, she ultimately decided not to, and a decent portion of the community took this response as a total debunk. However, some people, mainly Aiko and Babs, pointed out various issues with the situation. The evidence Edwin presented definitely puts him in a great light, but he didn't just let what proof he had speak for itself. Instead, he tries to deconstruct Babs' story in every facet possible, and by doing so, issues popped up. For a man whose allegations were deeply ingrained due to him being an unreliable narrator, he stays very adamant by his own narration. On occasion, Edwin accuses Babs of saying or doing things that never happened. In one instance, he accused Babs of implying the night at Keemstar's house was coercive. This is a complete lie, and it's no coincidence he doesn't have a clip to back this claim up. Edwin also tries over and over and over again to say Babs directly accused him of assault, because on Augie's stream she told people to leave Zali alone. However, he omits the several times in that stream she clarifies she was not assaulted, including the time where she says it after that clip.
And I'm still standing by. I don't feel like any laws were broken. I wasn't assaulted, whatever. Did they toe that line? All puns intended? Yeah, but they didn't cross it. I just want to say, guys, don't be too hard on. It's hard. Like Xylee saw the proof, so I feel like that's why she's more passionate about it. Like
Well,
I didn't know.
what-
She was gonna,
But you
I
said
didn't
the
watch-
proof wasn't even that significant. So how does it change the story?
It just
That's what I'm
backs up her
confused.
story.
It just backs it
up
up.
her story.
Okay.
Yeah, it probably gets like 5% worse. Again, it doesn't change the fact that I wasn't like assaulted or anything. It just like proves that they're lying.
Another part is about the deck of cards. One part of Babs' story is that she wasn't going into the three-way for anything crazy. She was using playing cards that she does with all her friends.
You guys catch that part about Babs bringing her own deck of cards? She can repeat it all she wants, but that ain't true. I can confirm her lying about the most irrelevant detail, which she repeats with strange emphasis. Her bringing a deck of cards for us to play with, a physical deck of cards, which she repeats emphasis on, right? It was a drinking game card app on her phone, nothing physical. Again, so weird for her to lie about the most irrelevant detail.
However, in one of the videos that Edwin recorded on Babs' phone, Babs claimed that you can quite literally see a physical deck of cards on the table next to him. Whilst the footage is blurry here, I can make out the pattern on the deck of cards, but I completely understand if this isn't as convincing. I could talk about other stuff that I may have seen, like contradictory complaints or inconsistencies. I'm pretty sure Edwin lied about not watching videos and streams about himself, like I can see the screenshot in front of me. However, as I don't have the time to play all the clips Edwin has against Babs, I feel it'd be unfair to air out all the criticisms against Edwin's video. Ultimately, both parties have put out their side, pitted it against one another. As said before, Edwin's response video was received somewhat well, and a lot of his burnt bridges were back to neutral terms. Nicholas Diorio was even down to host a conversation in September, hashing out his issues outside of Babs. Yet even with Nick's softer tone, this interview would be a severe reality check. Edwin notably doesn't apologize or admit to a lot, trying to turn around his behavior on everyone else. He fails to address the double standards for Boblux and Salvo until he gets pressed on it. He says he didn't expect Aiko or Tommy to bombard him with questions when it was his choice to call into both and he knew what they were talking about. Aiko was covering him, and the first thing she did when she saw him is tell him to go away.
Edwin, go away.
When asked about the Olivia situation, Edwin deflects by saying he didn't start it, he didn't do it voluntarily, whatever that means. It's taking away all agency from like a 34-year-old man, it's hard to buy it. Edwin even says he didn't know what a threesome or was by proper definition. Again, possible, but hard to believe considering he once ran a series educating people on sexual topics. This was meant to be Edwin's post-response vindication, the rise up from the ultimate backstab. Unfortunately, the audience weren't buying it, and although Edwin was able to get a decent rapport, it wasn't exactly stable. But for those who just wanted to condemn Edwin, it turns out they didn't need Babs to do it. On September 16th, 2023, a video from Just a Kid Who Rants, aka Colton, went up on YouTube. The focus was Edwin, specifically his past in relation to minors. Edwin would interact with his fans in strange ways, including a public Snapchat named Sexy Edwin. This is unfortunately not much of a shock, as we are aware of Edwin's Sexual Saturday segments.
I know that schools have their education and parents try to teach their kids to not have at a young age.
But when is the right age?
One interaction that Colton highlighted was with a 14-year-old, who Edwin messaged on Twitter promoting his videos. I assume this is just an automatic message, so nothing too weird here. However, when this girl responds, Edwin notes that he's seen her in Sia's chat. She responds saying she saw him too, she was just kidding, and she loves Edwin and Sia. Edwin replies, saying, "Good girl." The two would interact on Snapchat, where in response to a question, Edwin sends this girl a shirtless selfie. Interactions like this were all about the place on Edwin's Snapchat, and it was both private and public. In one post, Edwin is wearing nothing, only censoring the explicit parts with scribbles and the words "naked AF." Pictures like those were lucky to have a scribbled censor. This wasn't the last of these interactions. Edwin would reward these sometimes underage fans with naked pics if they retweeted his videos, like in this instance. The girl captioning a post saying she skipped class for this doesn't make it any better. Another DM to a 17-year-old is not sexual, but reads, "Hi bae, I'm grateful for you and your kisses." Back when Edwin and Sia were close, a running joke on their channels was Mommy Edwin and Daddy Sia, as their fans would refer to them. Several hashtags, streams together, and even them both cross-dressing on their streams. This is fascinating when you pair this with Edwin's own view on cross-dressing and the relation with fans, especially back on that call with Chud Logic about Sia.
The only picture I've seen that concerned me was the one where he was with Hassan and somebody else, and they were like dressed like, oh, like, you know, because that's like such a trap for like young fans to be like when they cross dressing and wearing skirts, like I feel like that's like trapping for like that's like little girl thirst bait. No, like adults don't think that. Okay. Don't you think? Am I wrong? You know what I'm talking about, right?
They were dressed up as women.
Yeah.
And you were saying that little girls are going to be more interested in that.
Well, certainly not adult women or even little boys. Like girls, like younger audiences, like are into. Oh my God, he's how they're being silly. Like, oh my God, they're. I don't know. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Chats, both of our chats.
However, some streams were even weirder. On occasion, Edwin would do streams at least shirtless, writing the names of his fans on his body. There were also multiple entirely naked shower streams, with his lower half just about cropped out. The only thing he seems to be wearing in the entire thing was a white glove.
So I'm back home from work, and guess what? I'm doing a live show. You guys, say something in the chat. Oh, hi, chat. Y'all look so beautiful. Taco, says Amanda. Look, when I get like top fans, I will basically write their names on my body. And I don't know, it's just kind of a way to say things. I love like chatting with you guys live. And honestly, I'm going to go to bed after this. But first, I'm going to shower live on camera.
Whilst none of this is indicative of hard-cut grooming, it shows Edwin was irresponsible about himself and his audience. He was an adult with a degree in psychology, he pretty clearly knew who his audience was. It was a lot of teenagers. You could even say this was normalized during the time he was coming up in. However, this is the very kind of behavior he used to accuse Sia of being a pedophile, with little to any evidence. So it's not surprising that his own standards would apply to himself.
He was very like sexual with his fans. It was very, and like if he hasn't deleted his tweets, you could probably see like tweets from his like 2016, 2015, 2014. You could see a lot of his sexual tweets, like talking to fans and stuff. If people really wanted to dig in, if he doesn't delete his tweets, you could see it.
Upon the release of all this information, Edwin published a statement to Twitter.
This has gone too far. There was never any targeting, grooming, or contacting of minors for sexual gratification as is being painted. It was popular to encourage fans to retweet new videos 7 to 10 years ago by offering a DM or a pic, and I did so a few times, with some cringe messages at worst. Some of these DMs were posted by fans back then are now being spread around by others to paint a perverse light without this context. The DMs are criticizable and look very cringe in hindsight, but to make anything more of it after others looked through hundreds of tweets to see if the fans were underage or not, to force that as a factor is disgusting. If you're genuinely concerned over these victims, please feel free to reach out to them to validate these false claims made on their behalf. Y'all can hate and criticize me all you want, but sensationalizing lies week after week has got to be exhausting for y'all too. I would like to move on from personal drama, and I hate that people won't let me.
The documentation of Edwin's weird past was enough to kill any reputation he had left. Even if the information had an unplanned release through a commentary troll, it was enough. And despite being known as a troll, Colton did pretty well. Though Edwin did try to come back to a second channel and cover the same sort of topics, no one really cared what he had to say. The only person he was affiliated with was a still active doxer. Edwin's channels are now inactive. Apart from the famous Edwin vlog channel where he gives occasional updates on his life, Edwin has most likely gone into a real-life job, and I don't see him returning anytime soon. It spells the end of a nearly 20-year career on YouTube, one that by all means was never meant to get this far. Through a combination of luck and opportunities, Edwin always managed to hitch his wagon from one place to another. The way I see it, Edwin's career has always been directed by his feelings. It seems like he never really grew up. He might be over 35 now, but in reality he's still stuck back in those early 2000s, tripping forward through fighting every former friend. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay safe and stay toasty.